changed, Maxx Chewning. You used to be so cool when you were poor and like relatable. Now you're all rich and like rich. And I see you buying stuff and it makes me feel weird and I just don't like it, honestly, and I think you've changed. Have you changed? Yes, you've changed. Have I changed? Yes, I've changed. Do you change when you become successful? Yes, you change. And today we're going to talk a little bit about it. All right, so here's the deal. Last week, Maxx asked a question. All right, I love Maxx. You guys know I love Maxx. A little bit more about him in a second, but first this question and then your questions. I'm going to answer a lot of the questions that were asked last week. This video, this vlog, this channel is all about helping you realize your potential so that you can eventually change and be unrelatable like Maxx one day, hopefully. I think that should all be the goal. Anyway, the deal is, if you've got a question down below, start it with question and ask it. This week, we're diving deep into your questions, and that's the deal. I like answering your questions, and this week, we are starting off with Maxx's question from last vlog. He says, question, how do you feel about spending the money you've earned from working over the years and having people judge you / say you've changed? Example, for your new house build, people might say it's excessive. It is excessive. Or you don't need it. I don't need it, but you wanted and can afford it. All right, so this is an amazing question. So here's the deal. All right, so first off, Maxx, I just want to give a little recap to give people context about you. All right, so for those of you who have no idea who Maxx Chewning is, he is the founder of Sour Strips. He created that business about 5 years ago. It was a white label candy company. He spent or invested like 50 grand in that business and then bootstrapped it, invested the money that he was earning back into the company, and he grew it and he grew it and he grew it for 5 years. And then boom, guess what happened? Hershey saw that he was doing some things, like he was getting distribution, and they were like, wait a second, we like this. It's a new brand. We think you're doing great things. We love the branding. We love the fact that you've got this social power behind you, and we want a piece of that, right? Hershey and a lot of these big companies, what their game is acquiring smaller companies. Once they reach a certain level, if they feel that it can help them and they can then take their power and basically put it behind a brand, leverage the shit out of it and just explode it all over the world globally, that's what they do. And so Maxx, he laid the groundwork and then he hit what I consider to be the entrepreneurial lottery. All right. Now, I think everybody that starts a business, when you're an entrepreneur, dreams and envisions this day where one day somebody's going to want to acquire your business. Same thing happened, or I should say that was the goal with Tiege Hanley. For those of you who have missed the video that I did and posted yesterday about why I quit promoting Tiege Hanley, I'm going to link to that video down below. I want you to go watch it because next week I'm going to give you more context to that video and tell you some things that I didn't mention over there that I think it's important that you know. Something I would love for you to do. If you want to support this channel or Tiege Hanley, we've got a deal right now that is special. If you go through my special link down below, you're going to get 40% off your system, your first month. You're also going to get a free Pete and Pedro sea salt spray. It's a huge value, and we could really use the sales. I'm going to explain more about that next week, but go watch the video. The deal is, this product, this brand is something that I absolutely love. It is my baby. I started this 10 years ago, and we thought when we started, we're going to sell this bitch for $100 million in like 5 years. It was like not even a question. It was going to happen. It didn't. We're here fighting, but there's more to the story that I'm going to tell you next week, so make sure you tune in. So anyway, back to Maxx. Hit the link down below. Watch the video. Buy Tiege Hanley. Do not wait. Supplies are limited. All right. So back to Maxx. So Maxx blows up. He ends up selling the business, and it's awesome, right? Big numbers, right? The numbers that you can't even comprehend when you're an entrepreneur, right? And so he sold the business. He's got all this money, right? Now, the thing that everybody needs to understand is that Maxx had money before this. Maxx wasn't starving, right? Maxx has been making content forever, and then he just basically was, and the reason why Sour Strips became what Sour Strips became, largely due to his basically talking about it and being the face behind the brand. People love Maxx, people love the brand, they bought it, they wanted to support him, and that's the thing that really, something that we did with Tiege Hanley early on was, we really invited people into the process of us starting this business. And when you get that customer engagement, when you make them feel like they are a part of it, you appreciate them, they are going to support you. Day one, when we launched Tiege Hanley, we had 1,000 customers. But the reason was because I have basically built value, they built trust, or I built trust, and they were engaged, right? I was asking people to participate, like, hey, what do you think? What packaging should you buy or should we pick? And what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And when you engage like that with a customer, it's like next level in terms of what the potential and opportunity is. Well, Maxx did this better than anybody. And so Hershey, they ended up buying the company. And so, the deal is, I actually know the numbers. I'm not going to tell you, but my buddy, I actually knew the deal was going to happen before it was public because my buddy works for Hershey high up, and he was like, yo, just letting you know, this is what's going down. I said, what? So then I had to wait for it to be publicly announced, and then I reached out to Maxx. Anyway, Maxx is my boy. And this question is amazing. So the first thing, and his question again was, what happens? You make money, right? You're successful. You start buying things or doing things or showing things, and people say you've changed or they judge you, right? Here's the deal. This is something that I think we all, and the reason why I appreciate this question is because, Maxx, you're a good dude, and the fact is, like, there is some degree of, I guess it's a little bit of, not guilt, but a little bit of, like, weirdness when it comes to money. Money is one of those things that people end up judging, right? Whether or not, you make $100,000 and you're talking to somebody who makes $30,000, they're going to judge you. If you make $1 million and they're making $100K, people judge you. People get weird with money, all right? When they know that you make money, people get a little weird, right? And it's just one of those things. Money, it does change you. And this is something that I have thought about because I've had the comments myself, like, oh, you've changed. And I'm like, well, why did I change? Like, what did I change? And when people say this, I am somebody that is self-aware to some degree. I don't know to what degree, but any type of self-awareness, you start to think about it, right? Why have I changed? What has changed? And the truth is that when you end up becoming successful, the things that you had to do in order to get there, it changes who you are. You're not the same person that your boys used to hang out with in high school. I'm not the same guy that used to, party with all the guys that, were at the gym from my nutrition store days. Most of those guys are dead now, right? You change. It's not something that is necessarily a negative. It's you. It's a process. It's something that ends up happening for the better and for the worse. One of the things and reasons why I feel so fortunate that I was not successful when I was younger, I had a lot of failures, is because I don't know how I would be or the person I would have become if I had it or success too easy or too early. But the fact that I wasn't, I was 30 before I even, had like $10,000 or $5,000 in the bank, I remember it like it was yesterday. So it wasn't that long ago. And so one of the things that you just need to understand is it's okay to outgrow people. And if you have done what you have done and become successful, you don't need to apologize for wanting something. And that's something else. For me, I'm Italian guilt, it's real. And so when I started to make a little bit more money, right, I started to do little things here, little flexes there, little things that made me feel better, made me feel successful. Some of the things, absolutely, if I'm being completely honest, were flexing, and it was, wanting to show people that I've made it. I mean, for me, I was an insecure poor kid, right? And so some of these feelings and these insecurities, they manifest and they transcend, long after you're not poor anymore. And so you do have this kind of like, this guilt a little bit. But, and you do. For me, I wanted to prove to people. And I know that deep down, part of the reason why I wanted to build that house in the way and the manner that I did, in the area that I did, was basically to plant my success flag in the ground. Does it mean that I'm wrong? I'm just being honest. We also live in a very different time now than we used to. And it also comes back to what you do for a living, right? Maxx, and I'm talking directly to you, you have built a career in business out of showing yourself and sharing things about your life. And so the fact that you are in a different financial position now, you're able to buy a G-Wagon for your wife, you're buying a platinum Rolex, even though it looks just like steel. I'm kidding, not kidding. Max and I had a conversation about that. You know, because you're able to do these things and you're buying and you're going to be building, like wait until they see your house. Then they're really going to say you changed. You know, it's one of those things where you just fuck it. Like, fuck it. Absolutely say, in my opinion, fuck it. If there are people that don't want to roll with you because you have made money, then fine. Like, let their broke asses be small and live their life, right? And the truth is, you know, people get jealous. And that's the other reality. Like, there's a lot of, you know, jealousy and people that are going to just like hate on you just because you have success or you've got a six-pack. I mean, people judge you for all sorts of weird stuff, right? But the fact is, you are a social media person. And so you showing your evolution, I think that the majority of people see that as an inspiration, right? When they see people that start here and they grow something, they do something, it's inspiring. It's inspiring to the right people, I should say. So for me, right, I get inspired when I see what you have done. And, you know, for me, I was more successful earlier on. Now I feel, you know, like I'm still trying to figure things out. And someday I hope to be able to sell a business and just basically be like, yay, I did it. And it's not even about the money, because the thing that I can tell you from experience is, you know, there comes a point at which more money doesn't make you more happy. More money doesn't make you a better person. It just means that you've just got more money. And at some point it just gets kind of like, I bought that shit. I got it out of my system and I just don't care. It's like, for me, I'm not a car guy. I just don't care that much about cars. I don't want to buy or drive a piece of crap, but I just don't care about that stuff anymore. My wardrobe, I used to spend a lot more money on like buying nice clothes and really like, I just don't care that much anymore. What I care about is spending time with friends, with family, being able to help them. And that's something else that money allows you to do. It allows you to be the guy right now, for better or worse, because people are going to see that you have money. And when you become successful, they're going to be like, yo, can I borrow money? Or they're going to think that, I could just ask this person, they should give it to me because they've got enough. And that's stupid, right? But the things that you can do in terms of helping, you know, friends and family when in need, you know, that's awesome. And it's a really good feeling, if I'm being completely honest. But the fact is, it's okay. And the other thing that I think about is you can't take it with you. All the money in a bank account that you have, or I have, or anybody has who's successful, like, that's great that it's there, right? And as long as you are not making bad financial decisions and you can support yourself, if you want to go out and treat yourself, and I'm not talking just to Max, I'm talking to you, the viewer, you who has either made it or is going to make it or is in the process of making it. If you've got money and you want to buy something that you want, it's okay to want something. It's okay to go out and spend money. It's okay to even waste money if you want to. But there are going to be people that are going to say, oh, it's a waste of money and you should have basically donated the money or given it to charity or like whatever. It's your life. You've done the thing that you need to do in order to position yourself to be successful. And congratulations. It's not something that most people can do or will do. But if you are somebody that is willing to put in the time, put in the effort, take the chance, take the risk, and it pays off, fucking A, man, that's what it's about. That's what it's about, baby. It's about working hard, being successful, and then doing whatever the hell you want, right? F you money. It's about having F you money. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to say, I'm sorry. If you don't want the feedback or the criticism, then don't say it or don't show it, right? And that's fine. If you're showing it, and that's the other thing you've just got to understand, and really, I guess, be self-aware enough to acknowledge. Why are you buying the things that you're buying? And I'm not just talking to Max, I'm saying you, I'm just speaking in generalizations. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? I know for me, if I'm being completely honest, I like getting compliments on my house. I like people driving by and being like, God damn, like, what's that? I like the fact that it is something special and that it is a representation of me figuring some shit out. Because I know that deep down, I'm still that poor little insecure kid that I was when I was younger. And so I just wanted to answer this question, Max. The deal is, fuck them. Like seriously, fuck them, but understand that you have changed. And money does change you. And this is something that that I am just aware of and not ignorant to. A lot of people, whenever somebody goes, oh, you've changed, they get, first thing is like, I am not. Yes, you have. Yes, I have. I'm a different person now than I was when I was basically driving a beer cart. I've got different problems. I've got a different mindset. I've got different things, and I associate with different people. And one of the other realities is that as you become more successful, it becomes more challenging to surround yourself with people that are on your same level. And when you become like here in terms of your level, it's like impossible, right? Because like if you're the most successful out of your friends, you know, it changes the dynamic. It just does. And, you know, it's one of those things where you just got to surround yourself with people that are motivated, that are not, I guess, weird about the money and the success that you've had. Because people get weird when it comes to success. The people that truly love you and that are good to be around are the people that are cheering for you. But a lot of people aren't. There's some people in your life that will truly cheer for you when you become successful. But a lot of people, even though they may say, hey, good job, deep down, they're jealous. And it makes them realize that they haven't fulfilled their dreams, or they are not where they want to be or need to be. And they're jealous, right? Jealousy is a real emotion. It is something that people do and feel because it is very difficult to not compare yourself to other people. And when you see somebody that has more, you see somebody that has figured some stuff out, you think, oh, like, why them, not me? The reality is that they took a chance. They worked their ass off. You didn't. You're lazy. Deal with it. But Maxx, don't get it twisted. You've changed. And so have I. Now, let's dive into some of these other questions. I'm going to go a little bit more like rapid fire because we got a bunch of them, and I took a long time to answer that question from Maxx. But it applies, and you someday hopefully will have to deal with the same situation. All right? Don't let it, actually, you heard what I had to say. Next question is from Darth Bane 518. I started an e-commerce business earlier this year, and I haven't made any sales. I'm not worried about that. You're not worried about that? You should be worried about that. I'd be worried about that. I'm worried about what to do when it comes to taxes. Would I still have to file if I've made no money? Thank you. Yeah, you still have to file taxes, even if you've made no money. Now, the good thing is if you've made no money and you file taxes, you probably have expenses. You've got inventory. You've got things that like you, or maybe you don't have, I don't know what you do, but you definitely have expenses. So yes, you need to file taxes. And if you have another job, some of the losses, if you have your business set up as like an LLC, limited liability company, the losses that you take there, they pass directly through to you personally. And so if you have another job where you get like a W-2 wage, it can offset some of the taxes that you pay or have paid and might actually get money back. So yes, and figure out that sales thing. It's important. Next question is from our friend John Kern I8V. He says, Aaron, how can a country artist creator like me get on your radar to be part of Pete and Pedro and Collars & Co. without emailing you the world's freshest before and after hair pics? Email us the freshest before and after hair pics. All right, here's what you need to do. John, I'm speaking to you. Email mlevy@PeteandPedro.com. That's MLEVY, sorry, at PeteandPedro.com. Send them some pics. We'd be happy to take a look, and we would be interested in getting you possibly to help us promote that. In terms of Collars & Co., that's a different scenario, and you could always, if you have a big following, reach out to Menfluential Media, and maybe we can actually do something there. I don't know. I would start with Pete and Pedro if you got good hair. Next question comes from our friend, Give It All to Lose It All. He says, I have a personal training business, and my plan is to do a refresh in January based on everything I've learned over the year and a half I've been doing it. Good. Constant innovation, constant refresh. Hold on. Let me finish this question. The key phrase people use in PT is to dominate your postcode. Dominate your postcode, meaning become the number one most relevant and best at your field in your local town, which I want to do by the end of 2026. I live in a big town. After this, you can buy your own studio, move on to online coaching. You've spoken in the past about how you would own how you would own a local business. Hang on a second. So how would you, in my shoes, dominate your postcode? Thank you, as always, for kind and eloquent answers. This might not be eloquent. So the question is, so you want to be a personal trainer, dominate your postcode, become the number one most relevant and best in your field. So what I would probably do, just an idea. So here's the deal. It is about to be New Year's, and you are like, you need to be like setting it up right now in terms of what you're going to be doing in January. And you need to start, honestly, like getting the pieces in place for January. January is like, it's where the dumb money comes to spend on fitness stuff, right? Gym memberships skyrocket. Anything to do with weight loss or fat loss, it skyrockets. And so what are things that you can do now in order to, get ahead of the curve? One thing that I think about right away when you say you want to dominate your post zip code is, there are two things that I might do, honestly. And this is something that I haven't really seen, but I think it could probably be effective, and it's very cost effective, and that is yard signs, all right? Maybe think about what is something that you could put that is compelling on yard signs that you on weekends could go and stick all over like your town, right? It's like, hey, New Year's, new body, weight loss, fat loss, 100% money back guarantee, like some crazy offer. And, and put them outside of, nicer neighborhoods. If you are an in-person, personal trainer, you don't want to do it in the broke neighborhoods, right? The broke areas. Go to nice neighborhoods, put them out front of the neighborhoods, or all over your town. Like there are a lot of ways, on the weekends, basically you can do that. There aren't regulations if you would try to do it Monday through Friday during the day. Typically, there are like people that police that in terms of your city council, or not city council, but your local area or your city will basically not allow like yard signs during the week. You need a permit, but on the weekends, you can do it. Nobody's patrolling that. They're off. And so you can do it on the weekends. Something else that I would do, just an idea, is come up with some ideas on quick ways to stick to New Year's resolutions, or 5 things that you can do in order to basically, lose 5 pounds in January or 10 pounds in January, like something like New Year's weight loss, fat loss, get in better shape, resolution sticking like idea. And then reach out to your local news stations. Like if you've got like a Fox affiliate or like channel, whatever, reach out to them and send their producer an email talking about, hey, this is who I am. I would love to basically come on and share tips on X, Y, and Z. I actually have gotten things on the news back in the day when I was an image consultant doing this way, reaching out, but you got to just not reach out and be like, hey, I'm a trainer. If you need me, I'm here. No, you need to help them with story ideas. That's the thing that's really going to move the needle. You could also reach out to local magazines, local newspapers, and do the same thing, but actually probably not magazines because they are on a different schedule. They probably have already, have everything, run, but news stations are always looking for early morning news. Like in your local area, they're always looking for stories or angles or ways to basically make their show not suck. The next question comes from our friend Red Bull 357. Interesting story. Speaking of personal training, real quick, I used to train the Red Bull driver for the rally cars. The cars that are driving like on all the like off-road like tracks. I used to train the main driver. There are 2 drivers, there are 2 people in the cars. His name was Noel. This was back years ago when I was at Crunch, and he actually invited me to go and see a race up in Chattanooga, but he ended up getting hurt, so he didn't race. But anyway, back to the question. What do you think of creator seeding versus paid ads? So they're 2 different animals, and they kind of feed each other. So paid ads, like Google ads, Meta ads have been sucking. But you can try it, and depending on your product, you can still win there. But Meta ads, TikTok ads, Amazon ads, like there's a lot of different like ways for paid ads. And it really boils down to you testing different creatives and seeing if you can find something that will actually work. And what work means to you, maybe what working means to you may be different than what it means to me. For me, if I'm not getting at least a 2 return on an ad spend, it's not working. Because for me, like, I've done the numbers, and honestly, I don't want to lose money. I'm not in the business of acquiring a customer at a loss in order to basically, hope that they buy in the future. I am 2. Like, that's my goal. If it's not hitting a 2, like, I'm killing it. And I'm allocating the money to something that is more effective. And to be honest, most all of my ads are at like a 3 to 4 range in terms of return. And when it's up at 4, you want to spend a little bit more to get it, into that 3 range. And it's all a numbers game. But, creative and doing that, it's scalable. And that's one of the things. Like, paid ads is scalable, and it allows you to test pretty affordably. And that's one of the beautiful things about it. But it works really well when you kind of combine it with product seeding or having like influencers talk about your product. TikTok has been a real eye-opening experience this year. I would say this year, if you are and have a product and you're not utilizing TikTok, you are missing out on still the opportunity. A lot of these other platforms, if you want to try to have your product talked about from like a YouTuber, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars, right? TikTok, a lot of these shop creators will do it basically for a free product, and they get a commission if they make a sale. But that's really how we blew up the Stubble Buddy, right? I didn't pay anybody. They made a commission, but this one dude who made a ton of videos, he made literally $20,000 from Stubble Buddy sales in the span of like 30 days. And so the one thing you also need to understand is that if you get your product into somebody's hands and it's effective and they actually do make sales, you can utilize their creative in some paid ads. And so there's a lot of there's so much that goes into this, and it's not just a do this or do that. It's a more holistic approach that you need to take when looking at marketing. And I think you need to do both, but you don't want to spend too much money on the product seeding, and you don't want to have a really crappy return on ad spend if you're going to be doing paid ads. I hope that makes sense. The next business question I love. He says, if you had to start over again, but your next business would have to be a service-based business, what services would you pick and why? So this is a great question. Thank you, Nova Cleaners. I would do a handyman service in my local area, and I would scale that bitch nationwide. All right, here's how I do it. I would be the marketing arm of my business. All right, everybody needs handymen. All right, it's really difficult to find a good handyman, but I would basically try to scale that big time. The way that I would do it is I would basically go and find these people that would be good at the specific things that I need, whether or not it's window washing, it's AC, it's replacing water heaters. Like, I would have basically my stable of professionals that I could go to and call. I would make them wear a nice outfit. I would make them wear like my t-shirt. They would have to be dressed a certain way. They would have to meet my standards in terms of not being a crackhead or a drunk. And they would have to drive a pretty decent, vehicle. I would professionalize the handyman service. And then my job would be to market. I would start here locally in my Marietta area. I would advertise through yard signs. I would also advertise through the local Facebook group for my community, talking about if you need a good handyman, because the truth is everybody needs a good handyman. And even if I didn't have the skills yet, I could still market it and advertise it. I would also set up a website, have it be great, and talk about the things that we do. But a handyman service is one of those things that literally everybody I know needs a handyman. And a lot of people are always posting in these groups like, hey, does anybody know somebody that can do this or that or whatever? And the reality is that if you were to call like a plumber is going to literally bend you over and give you the business. I know, because I recently called one to figure out something at my house. $1,200 later for a stupid valve that didn't actually need to be replaced in the first place. I'm looking at my receipt and I'm just like, this is insane. All right, AC, same thing. But doing little odd jobs, whether or not it's pressure washing, it's painting, it's cleaning, I would basically advertise, I would market, and then what I would do is I would go and find these professionals and I would say, hey, how much will we charge for this? And they will be like, I'll charge $200. I'd be like, cool, my fee is $300. I'd mark up whatever they're gonna charge me, and then I would send them to the house, and it would just be something that you could start in one location, you expand it, you can market it. It would be, I think I could turn that into a super successful business, but that's just me. The next question comes from our friend Frank Baranowski, 35008. He says, we own a salon and we have been open now 3 years this coming May. We're looking to get into white labeling our own shampoo/conditioner, other products that are related. Which one would be best to start with and will move quickly compared to others that may sit in your opinion? I know we can use our trends on what we sell locally, but I wanted to see what your input would be as to what products to start with and are easier to try. So I don't think you get overcomplicated with this. All right, you know what you sell the most of, and I would just go with that. Like, so for me, like if you just want to know like what we sell the most of at Pete and Pedro, and this is men, but number one, sea salt spray. Period. Like a lot of it. Number two is our high hold, low shine putty. Number three, texture powder. Number 4 and 5 is our clean and condition shampoo combo pack. And then a bunch of other stuff down below. But that's for me, that's men, right? What I would do if the salon is for women, I would just basically look at what are your best sellers, or look at a popular brand like R&Co, right? R&Co is a high-end company that sells products. What are their best sellers? A great way to kind of hack the system is go to Amazon, and look at, if you were looking to white label something or develop something of your own, go to Amazon and do a search for like shampoos or conditioners or women's styling aids, and you're going to see like which ones sell the most and which ones have the highest rating. And then if you're looking for a way to basically filter which one would be the best to basically copy, that's how I would do it. Pretty simple. The next question is from our friend, Ken Hicks Jr. What's up, Ken? I miss you. I've known Ken for a long time. Ken is a solid dude, and just love Ken to death. He says, how do you determine if a video is driving people to your website and it's not a previous video that suddenly got traction? That's kind of impossible. Unless you have different links, tracking links. So that's one of the tricky things when it comes to creating content, because there's a degree of which you're not going to know and be able to track, right? So if you do a YouTube video, if you even say like, hey, there's a link down below, go click that link, here it is, like that is the best way and the best thing you can hope for in terms of knowing if that video was the one that drove the sales, all right? You can change the links and have different links in different videos. That's one way. You could do biddy links or whatever to basically see like which video is driving that traffic. But there are a lot of people that are just going to search it, right? And this is one of the things. And it will show up as organic traffic to your website or, branded search. Even though they saw it here, they're searching for it in Google and not going through your link. A lot of people do that. And so it's really difficult to qualify. Now, if you have like some type of like discount code or a special landing page with like a bundle or an offer on it, that is something that you will know, because like if for me, like just to give you an example, if I do like a video and I'm like, oh, right now, if you want to buy, and this is true, if you want to buy Tiege Hanley, 40% off, and a free sea salt spray, hit that special link down below. You can't get this deal anywhere else. You also can't find this deal anywhere else, because that link is going to take you to a landing page that is hidden. All right, it's not public facing. You can't go to the nav bar and find it. It's hidden. And so if you do that, even if you have like a discount code that auto generates or that's on that page specifically, it's going to apply specifically to this combination of products, which is something that these shopping apps and these plugins aren't going to be able to basically filter and put in, unless, of course, somebody would happen to add this and add this to actually know, because even then, you're making one separate SKU, so it only is good on this SKU. So that's one way. to do it. But yeah, I would say the easiest thing for you to do would be to change the links or have different links, even if it is to your homepage. Maybe do something like a biddy link just to know where the traffic is actually coming from. Hope that helps. And the last business question, and if I didn't get to your question and you want me to still answer it down below, copy and paste last week's question into this one, and I'll try to get to more of them next week. But next week, you gotta tune in because I'm gonna tell you more tangible information that I didn't share on that video that I posted that you can watch down below about why I stopped promoting Tiege Hanley for the past year and a half. It's something to watch. Anyway, back to the question. It says, I'm a entrepreneur. I attempted to start a t-shirt company and ended up selling some to friends. One person bought from the online store on April Fool's Day. What should I do with the extra shirts I didn't sell? So first off, I think you deserve an Alpha M, round of applause, and knuckle bump for getting your first failure out of the way. All right, congratulations. And it wasn't that painful, right? It probably was a little painful, but you're gonna be all right. So the deal is, what I would do is, are you sure you can't sell it? Did you just not market it properly? That's probably the answer. And so maybe not just giving away the shirts. I would probably, if you still believe in the business, or you still think it could be cool, or you don't truly feel like you gave it 100% of your effort, I would try again and try to figure out some other things. There are a lot of different ways to skin the marketing cat now versus last year. And so I would probably consider what can I do in order to try to basically invigorate this brand. Because if you only have a few shirts that you've sold, you've got a lot of inventory depending on how much inventory you have. Now, if you only have a little bit of inventory, you could give it away to a homeless shelter, or wherever. And you can write off the expense of the shirt and basically move on. Write off your cost and sail away into the sunset and try your next business that may or may not work out. But I think for you, instead of thinking about what to do with the t-shirts in terms of giving them away or discounting them 50%, you need to figure out that marketing mechanism. And so I would challenge you to be honest with yourself, to decide whether or not you truly gave it a shot, or if this is something that you really need to just dig deep and try to figure it out and actually try. Because a lot of people, when they start a business, and I can tell you from experience of running the White Label Empire, 1,000 members, only a handful have actually started businesses. And then the ones that have started, only a few keep going, because the truth is it gets hard, right? Starting, it's easy. It's the next step. It's about selling them. It's about marketing. It's not easy. That's the hardest part. Marketing is the #1 thing that every business needs to figure out. How to get your product in front of the people that need to see it, that might be interested, for an affordable price, right? Because if you're spending too much and you're not making money, it's not a winning formula. And so, marketing is the #1 thing you got to figure out when you have a business and a brand. That, my friends, is going to wrap things up. That is where I am going to wrap things up. We love you. Thanks for being here. And if you dug this video, drop it one of these. And thank you for checking out Tiege Hanley and signing up again or for the first time. 40% off your first order plus a free sea salt spray. It's a $20 value. Gentlemen, hit the link. Don't wait. Thank you.